So I just watched the first episode of Trigun Stampede. Usually I don't like doing reviews of a show based only on its first episode, but I want this video to act as a precursor and official announcement of my Trigun video I've been working on. That should be coming out within a week or two, but as I've been doing my research for that video, I felt like I couldn't ignore Stampede, considering it came out in the middle of me doing my research and rewatching the '98 anime. However, this upcoming Trigun video that I will be making will not cover anything about Stampede, since the damn show hasn't even finished yet, so I will hold off on providing a definitive opinion. So consider this video on Stampede Episode 1 to act as a prequel of sorts, a Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes to the Phantom Pain, with Phantom Pain being the main Trigun video. And considering how well received Ground Zeroes was, this is totally a good idea. Hi everyone, welcome to Jump Report. I'm your host Noah, and today we're going to be talking about Trigun Stampede. I'm going to be giving my thoughts about it and what I liked and didn't like as much about the first episode. When I first saw the trailer for Trigun Stampede, I was genuinely confused. From what I remembered, the original Trigun anime was held in high regard. Why were they making a reboot? Why has Vash's design changed? Why is the taxi driver guy in Trigun now? Where the hell is Millie? All of this, plus the decision to go 3D, puzzled me, and from what I could tell, the community was fairly split on this new outing of Trigun. Even though I had my reservations on it, I figured I would just wait until the first episode came out, which I'll now get into. Starting out with the good, I'll go ahead and say that the 3D animation isn't that bad. For me, 3D anime has always been a mixed bag. I've seen it done fairly well in anime such as in Beastars or in Lupin the Third, the first movie, but I've also seen it go horribly wrong. I will admit, I always prefer 2D, or when 2D mixes some 3D elements into its animation, but Stampede's 3D animation isn't bad. The show is very colorful and expressive, which leads into my next bit of praise, that being the expressive characterization of Vash. Vash in this first episode still feels like Vash. He's still the badass yet goofy pacifist who gets through sticky situations flying by the seat of his pants, leaving you to wonder if his victories were from pure skill or pure luck. One thing I've always enjoyed about Trigun is the humor of Vash, and in the first episode of Stampede, he's still as funny as I remember him to be, while also showing a hint of his serious and caring side. Alright, now before I go on to the bad, I would like to talk about the things that I'm a little mixed on. The character redesigns are definitely something that's divisive. I personally see them like how Sonic Riders had those redesigns of the Sonic characters. They're a pretty cool take, but the original looks are just too hard to beat, and they fit in a little better with the western feel of the original series. I felt like Vash's design made him look less lanky and elongated in Stampede, but I honestly enjoyed that about Vash's original design. His height always made him look towering and imposing, especially when he was shown simply wandering around the desert. His hair has also been changed too, and it looks fine, but I also prefer the original look. Spiky hair is always used to give cartoon characters a wild and chaotic look to them, which was fitting considering the destruction Vash would always accidentally cause. Like I said, I don't find the new character designs to be bad per se. I do enjoy them, but the original designs have a special place in my heart. Another thing I was conflicted on is the feel and direction of Stampede. It feels like the show, at least in its first episode, is focusing more on the futuristic and sci-fi elements of Trigun and less so the Western aesthetic. I'm not critical of it though, since this is only the first episode. And from here, they could go back to the focus of being more like a Western like in the original source material. Comparing Trigun to Cowboy Bebop, I always felt that Bebop tended to lean into the space and sci-fi while dabbling a bit into the elements of a Western, whereas the original Trigun went in the opposite direction. Finally, the last thing I'm conflicted on is the depiction of Meryl in this one. I don't know what to think about making her a rookie journalist. In the original series, Meryl was pretty naive to the struggles of the common folk of the Gunsmoke planet, but she was able to hold her own pretty well with her partner Millie. The whole insurance angle they gave her in the original series worked really well, and it made sense why she followed Vash everywhere. However, I'm interested to see how they take this new direction with her character. Also, Millie isn't here, which is odd considering how much of a fan favorite character she is. I won't say anything about it though, since I'm wondering if they will reveal her later on into Stampede. Roberto De Niro, yes, that's his name, replaces Millie as Meryl's partner. Once again, too early to give a full opinion on him, but he plays a good contrast to Meryl with his experience and somewhat jaded nature. He's a little cliche of an archetype, but I'm curious to see where they take his character. Alright, now for the bad. First off, the story beats. Part of what made the original Trigun great was finding out the mystery of Vash. His backstory was intentionally left a mystery in the beginning of the original series. However, in the first episode of Stampede, we're already given his backstory, along with information about his brother Knives. In the 98 anime and in the manga, they hinted at Knives' presence at the beginning, but kept him in the shadows for most of the time. Rem was also hinted at in the intro sequence of the 98 anime too, and I always thought that was some wonderful foreshadowing. One of my favorite episodes from the 98 Trigun was episode 17, where they devote a whole episode to Vash's backstory and the aforementioned characters, giving fans a well-deserved payoff. Almost all of the questions surrounding Vash are answered, and they do a really good job setting up Knives' place in the greater narrative. In Stampede, all of that mystery is thrown out the window in the first episode. From the start, we get introduced to Rem and Knives and how they colonize the planet of Gunsmoke. This was a bit of a letdown since I think the way all of this was revealed to us in both the 98 anime and manga was done better. Another aspect I'm critical about is the faithfulness to the source material. It's a bit confusing why they didn't just take the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood route and just try to adapt the manga one-to-one. When the original Trigun anime came out, a lot of episodes had to be filler since the anime was released early on into the manga's publication. However, since the manga finished in 2008, I can't see why they couldn't have just adapted the manga in its complete and finished state. There's no going back at this point, since Stampede seems insistent on providing its own take on Vash's story. I'm holding out hope that if they're going to do an alternate retelling, it will end up being something similar to Megalobox, which despite being vastly different from its source material, still ended up being an amazing series. So, those are my thoughts on Trigun Stampede. I'll probably continue watching it just to see where it goes. There were some things I liked and didn't like about the first episode, and I don't want to just write off Stampede just yet. I'm hoping it builds off its fairly promising pilot episode and delivers something close to the quality of its predecessors. This show could have a lot of potential and be a great take on the original series. I know this is going to be divisive, but like I said, I'm holding out hope. Worst case, we still have the 98 anime and manga, which I'll give my full thoughts on in my next video. Until then guys, be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to see when I cover Trigun again. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon.